Yeah, man! Welcome to the Frickcast and to the Dr. Squatch OG soap rankings. Today we'll go through each brick and find out which is best. If you've seen the soap guides, you're probably familiar with these tier rankings, but I wanted to briefly go through each again to explain their positioning and see if my thoughts have changed at all. We won't go through all of the details on every bar, that's what the soap guides are for. However, we will quickly break down each brick, its uniqueness, strengths, and weaknesses. Before we start slamming the OGs, however, it's important to explain how my tiers work. The only what would be called a bad tier is the bottom one. This is for bars that I just straight up do not like. Thankfully, this doesn't have many that belong to it. One spot up is quite aight. Now these are by no means bad bars. I would say they are good, just maybe not great. They may be too basic, as in they feature no unique ingredients. They aren't bad, they just are very forgettable. The mid tier, rather nifty, is where things really start to get going. These are what I would consider great bars. They do a lot of things well and just slightly get edged out by others. These are basically bars with nothing wrong with them, they just fall victim to Squatch having a lot of fantastic bars. Something else entirely is the elite tier. These bricks are nearly perfect, if not already. They are extremely well made and are very unique. Again, these are bars that do nothing wrong, but maybe due to one or more design choices, they can be a bit niche. And on top is the might be some sort of god tier. These are, of course, the god tier bricks. The bars here somehow manage to go above and beyond. There's nothing wrong with any of them. They're just fantastic bricks that exceed all expectations. Now that the tiers are explained, it's time to start explaining my soap guide rankings. Keep in mind that while I do try to have an element of objectivity to these, they are ultimately my opinion, and I'm by no means the definitive voice on what makes a great brick. Let me know your own rankings in the comments. So first off, the only... Oh god! Brick we have is the Cold Brew Cleanse. This is the only OG that I would say I dislike, and that's due to one simple reason: the coffee grounds. God, they are awful. I know that it's a heavy grit and that's not for everyone, but that isn't my issue with this bar. The coffee grounds aren't like pumice or sand and some other heavy grits. They come off the brick very easily, and since they don't dissolve in water, they end up making a huge mess. They'll trash your shower and your skin as you flay yourself alive with it. Other than the grounds, I do think this bar does have some redeeming qualities. The liquid coffee in it, I think, is a nice, nourishing ingredient that is, unfortunately, overshadowed by its edgy older brother. And the scent of coffee and brown sugar is a very nice one, actually. The brick has a lot of potential, and it has its fans. Personally, though, it's not for me. Moving up to the quite aight tier, we have the Gold Moss. While it is technically the second worst brick, I feel that label is misleading, as I do think it's a step up from the cold brew, mainly because there's nothing bad about it. The most offensive thing it does is just be extremely basic. The bar has no unique ingredients and a very faint, earthy smell. Because of this, it feels like a bare bones Squatch brick. Like this is how every bar starts out before their unique ingredients and scents are added. So again, it's not bad, it's just that every other bar seems to take this one's simplicity and add more to it. Similar to the Gold Moss is the Bay Rum. This brick surprisingly also features zero unique ingredients. What this bar does have, however, is the famous Bay Rum scent. It's a sweet, Caribbean spice smell that does its best to carry the bar. While it's enough to pass the Gold Moss, unfortunately the scent isn't strong enough to take it very far. The last of the quite aights is the Cedar Citrus. This is a bar I've tried several times to really like, but I'm always left disappointed with it. It features some unique ingredients of orange, cedarwood, and rosemary oils, as well as peppermint leaves, which is a very solid lineup. So why is it the Cedar Citrus higher? Well, it almost seems like the only oil you notice in it is the cedarwood. The already weak scent is dominated by the cedar smell, and the bar just really doesn't feel as deep cleaning as many others. It's a bar with sky-high potential, but just doesn't quite deliver. Now we're on to the rather nifty tier. These are the rankings I struggled with the most, as I feel most of these have a case to be much higher, but they were ultimately edged out. Still though, this is where the good bars turn great. To start out, we have the Eucalyptus Greek Yogurt. This is a pretty cool bar. It features eucalyptus oil and Greek yogurt for a deeply moisturizing bar that also has oatmeal for some added grit, although in my experience it was practically non-existent. Probably what makes or breaks the bar though is its strong eucalyptus scent, a floral minty medicinal scent that may not be for everyone. Personally, I don't mind it and I like this bar, but it's not exactly one of my favorites. Next is the Alpine Sage. Now this boy continues the theme of powerhouse unique ingredients, with cypress, lavender, and clary sage oils. It's a nice restorative bar, but is still one that I would consider to be scent-based, as that's what most are going to love or hate about it. The scent is mostly lavender. It's a heavily floral, almost perfume smell. It does have a bit of earthiness to it to keep it from being too feminine, but still the scent is a clean, unique one, just not, in my opinion, one of the best. Now this is where I feel the bars start to really take off. These next two, the higher end rather nifties, could easily be something else entirely. Cool Fresh Aloe is up, and I really like this bar. The only unique ingredient it has is aloe vera, but it carries the bar quite far. It's one of the most moisturizing and hydrating bricks Squatch offers. It has one of the most underrated scents. When the recipe first changed to include real aloe, I wasn't the biggest fan of the new scent that came with it, but since the soap guide I've really come around on the smell. While I always liked the bar, I think the Cool Fresh Aloe flavor is one of the best out there, with its additions of the hair kit and deodorant. The last rather nifty is the Grapefruit IPA. This is very much in the same vein as the Aloe Boy, and I feel it's very underrated. It has a beautiful grapefruit scent to it and features beer and hops as unique ingredients. So what's not to love? It can feel a bit basic, and I think if it had actual grapefruit in it as an ingredient, it'd be taken to the next level. But still one of the most underrated scents out there, and it really is just a refreshing bar. Now for the something else entirely's. These are Briccs that start to really stand out. First is the Spearmint Basil. This bar features a lot of herbal ingredients like spearmint, peppermint, and basil, as well as the algae-based spirulina powder. It's a very fresh brick that feels very clean to use. The scent, however, is where it truly makes a name for itself. It's an extremely potent spearmint smell. It's easily the strongest OG and may even be too overpowering, as it can actually overtake the scent of other bars. It has a bit of a chewing gum scent to it as well, so it's another one of those love it or hate it. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I appreciate the brick. Next is the fan favorite, Pine Tar. This bar is what I would consider the ideal standard of the heavy grits, with oatmeal and sand for exfoliation and ingredients like pine tar for a deep restorative clean. The brick is one that really leaves your skin feeling rejuvenated. The woodsy pine scent is also a good one. Since it is a heavy grit, it's not for everyone, but personally I like the pine tar. It's a well-made, unique, and badass brick. Then there is the Wood Barrel Bourbon. This bar I feel could be a tier higher, as it is a phenomenal one. The Jimmy Red Corn and Sand give the bar a medium grit that's a bit on the heavier side, similar to the pine tar, although not quite as rough. It has a nice exfoliation to it, but the scent is probably its best quality. It's a sweet, oaky bourbon smell that really reminds me of fall. Now for our first, might be some sort of god, there is the Fresh Falls. This is just a gorgeous bar with a deep blue hue reminiscent of the cold Arctic Ocean. It has some unique ingredients like Alaskan clay for a deep clean, but this smooth bar is again a scent-based one, and it does not disappoint. The strong waterfall smell is a bit hard to place, but reminds me a lot of Squatch's take on a more generic men's body wash smell. It's clean, manly, and fresh. But unlike generic stuff, it's actually good and feels natural. It's just a great brick. Then there is the Coconut Castaway. This more recent addition quickly shot up the rankings due to several reasons. As the first light grit rocking coconut shreds and also coconut water and milk, the bar is a deep cleaning, hydrating one that almost has a milk-like texture to its lather. Combined with a pina colada scent, it's really just a refreshing bar. A coconut brick was one that was long awaited, and I don't think it disappointed. In second place is my beloved Birchwood Breeze. I absolutely love this brick. I'll use a soap with any level of grit, heavy or zero, but the medium on this bad boy is ideal. The pumice provides a great amount of exfoliation without being too much at times, and the birch in it makes this brick and its creamy lather feel nice and restorative. The scent on it is also amazing. A sweet, almost vanilla smell mixed with a woodsy birch smell is one of my personal favorites. I'm a birch bitch for this brick. And finally, at 1, the god of gods is the Deep Sea Goat's Milk. Honestly, this bar could be in a tier of its own, it's that phenomenal. It does everything extremely well and then some. It starts with the goat's milk that makes the bar insanely smooth and deeply cleaning. It also has a good amount of grit via the oatmeal to add some exfoliation. The end result is the best clean of a Squatch OG, with moisturizing and hydrating qualities. The scent doesn't hold it back either, with a certain uniqueness to it. It's salty and sour like the ocean. It reminds me of seafoam due to the scent and lather. You really feel like Poseidon using this brick. And there you have it, all 15 OG Briccs ranked and explained. If you want a more in-depth breakdown of any of these bars, check out the sip guides if you have not already. We've now covered all 15. Let me know what you think of my order and tiers. Do you agree or disagree on any of these? Leave your own rankings in the comments. Once again, thank you Frick Nation for your continued support of the channel. I'll see you next time. Yeah, man!